It's being reported that Chelsea have agreed a £38 million fee for Ajax Moroccan international Hakim Ziyech. And the player apparently has set his heart on coming to Chelsea, but will stay at the Dutch club till the remainder of the season, and was there last season when they won the title as well, which is why Ajax didn't want to let him go in the window. Kevin, from what you know about him, looks like a good buy?
I think it's a great buy. 38 million? You know, nowadays that's a snip. If he comes and performs. Wide player, plays on the right, got a lovely left foot. He creates goals, he scores goals, he's quick. You know, everything that Chelsea are looking for, really, because, you know, if Willian leaves at the end of the season, Pedro, there's two positions that need filling. So, you know, you look at his record there, good age as well. You know, I think goals, 21 goals last year in 49 appearances is fantastic. So he looks like a player that, for me, will settle in very well under Frank at Chelsea, and hopefully will hit the ground running. So for me, it looks like it's a fantastic signing.
I mean, 21 assists this season. That leaps out, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just think you've got to be very, very careful. Dutch football is not Premier League football. And
no?
for all what he's done and what he's achieved, and like Kevin says, you know, if they're spending that much money, you know, you hope and pray that you get it right. But there's different levels, and there's different levels in respect to European leagues. And the Dutch league is a good league. Ajax were fabulous last year, and they've been good this year. A good group of players, and they've been unbelievable in respect of bringing good players through. But Premiership is a different animal to the Dutch league. You don't watch Dutch football, and it is slower. You know, it's more technical. In the Premiership, the pace and the power in the Premiership, you know, it is a different level again, Jeff. So, irrespective of what they're spending and what his stats are saying, the stats are saying that he's done all that brilliant in the Dutch league. You know, let's see what he's like when he comes to the Premiership.
Will that... I mean, Frank Lampard will probably be aware and may well agree with what you're saying, but the fact that Chelsea played them twice in European competition and will have had a good look at him.
Yeah.
And also, tell me, as a manager, when your players say to you, Gaffer, by the way, that boy there, when your own players say, yeah he's more than decent, does that make a manager? No,
listen, you can, for what he's done, you cannot, what I'm saying is you can't criticise what he's achieved where he is. But this is a different level. The Premier League is most probably the best league in Europe or the world or whatever. And it's a different level. And the lad will find it, you know, he'll be playing against more powerful players, more powerful defenders. And it'll be interesting to see how he settles and how quickly he settles. You look at the stats and you say, yeah, he's a shoe-in. But, football in England is different.
Well, if Chelsea do the deal... and they managed to double up by getting Jadon Sancho as well.
I think they might be slightly a bit more expensive.
well, apparently they're in a tug of war with Manchester United. I don't know if Manchester City are in as well. But you can understand Frank Lampard being ambitious. They didn't spend any money last summer because of the ban. Very, very quiet January, very quiet. They didn't do the business that they wanted to. They've still got the Eden Hazard money burning a hole in their pocket. So... there's no reason... Why are you chuckling?
Yeah.
They need to reinvest. So, can you see them going big?
Well, they've certainly got the money, haven't they? They're a rich football club. History suggests that, if I'm sure if Frank wants a player, the money will be available for him to go and get him. So, if that is a player that they're interested in, he's certainly an exciting young player. And Frank's already proved this season that he can work with young players, he can improve them. That's why I think, the new signing that will come in the summer, the Moroccan lad, that he will fit in, because Frank has showed with Tammy Abraham and Mason Mount, these players have stepped up from the Championship, which is a big step up. So if Sancho was to come to the club, well, it'd be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. But where does he fit in?
Well, I was going to say, you wonder about Pulisic and Hudson-Odi. Yeah. Where do they go?
Exactly. It's one of those...
Yeah, it's good. It's really good competition. And especially if they settle in quickly enough. But as Kevin said, Frank has done a great job there with the players. He's going in with Jody. They know the kids at that football club. They've been at the football club. They had the 1 year at Derby, but they've been brought up and seen the kids develop, been part of that development, so they know what they're like. And I think, the powers to be at Chelsea, with all the financial stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, and with Abramovich pulling the chair a little bit away from the table. He's done fantastic. But I think the players coming in, I think, has shown the investment that Chelsea have made in their academy over not 1 or 2 years, but over 10 years. It's starting to,
pay dividends, isn't it?
Pay dividends and show fruition, which is absolutely fantastic. There's nothing better than being at the football club and the players at that football club who have been there since 10, 11 years of age coming through. And there is definitely more of a bond between people who have come through the youth policy. And I'd be very, very careful. I think they've done smashing this year. They've got some terrific young players. The lad who's played at right back was at Wigan last year.
Yeah, he's Reece James.
Yeah, Reece James. They've still got 2 or 3 of their players in the youth development setup who I think could break into the team and do extremely well, Jeff. So they've got to be a little bit careful. Everything is about, and Frank will be aware of this. He'll get this year, most probably. He'll be given this year, and then next year the supporters will want to win stuff. So he's got to balance it off to get the quality in to win stuff. But I wouldn't go away from what they're trying to achieve and trying to aim. I think it's refreshing, Jeff.
Well, they created almost a new identity for the club as well. I'm always reminded of Arsene Wenger, what he used to say about, you talk about harmony in a group. He always used to say, in a transfer window, it is possible to subtract by adding. You bring somebody in, as Tony says, and you completely change the dynamic at the club by bringing somebody in.
Yeah, and I've been at clubs when that's happened. It totally changed the dimension of the squad. But I think it's Chelsea we're talking about, and I totally agree with what Tony has said. But I think Chelsea need to be challenging.
They've got an identity at the moment, and I think people will accept they'll lose games at times, but they've got an identity, and it's fantastic. I think it's refreshing. There's a club there that's spent absolute fortunes, and I mean hundreds of millions over 10, 15 years on getting the best kids worldwide. They've brought these kids in from everywhere. So if you're going to spend that sort of money and you're going to spend the time in respect to developing them, if you're not going to play them, Jeff, which hasn't happened over the years, 1 or 2 might have come through, but not to the extent it is now. If you're not going to do it, why spend all that money? Why invest so much? If you're going to do it that way, then give these kids a chance. And the supporters, and it's you sat here as an experienced manager and you say, well, supporters, they should give them time. They won't. In today's game, you get 2 or 3 bad results and everybody's moaning like drains. The important thing is, I think, that Frank stays positive enough, and he really, really sets his stall out to keep going the way he's going, because I think as I've said, it's really refreshing for an older manager to see this happen. Ferguson at Manchester United, how many years ago was that, when he brought all the kids in and played them? And looking at Chelsea at times, and you look at the kids coming through and the youthfulness of that team, it's fantastic for me.
Just going back to something you were saying there, as an experienced manager, I'm wondering, where is the balance when you've got a squad of having a settled side, having the players you can rely on, and bringing in competition? For instance, if you're managing a striker who scores lots of goals, do you bring in competition?
Listen, we're talking about kids. They don't just play because they've come through the system. They have to play because they're good enough.
Yeah,
they've got, that's the big thing. I've been at football clubs who've spent fortunes on academies, and because they're spending fortunes, they put players up. They're never going to make it. No chance. Absolutely no chance at all. I think with Chelsea it's different. I think with the bigger clubs, they have got some really talented kids. And the great thing over the past 4 or 5 years, Jeff, they've allowed these kids to go out and play lower league football or championship football, second division football, and they've got hardened. The kids have got hardened. Playing academy football, it's you've got the ball, we've got the ball. It's not competitive. You don't go out and play in front of a crowd. You don't feel that stick if you're not doing it. You're not getting a manager breathing down the back of your neck if you're not performing. So they've learned and they've grown. And you look at it, take Abrahams. The development he's had over the past 3 years has enabled him to go and play Premier League football and do exceptionally well. He's all right. He's going to have a dip. That's what's going to happen, and Frank's going to have to accept that with youngsters. But that for me, I think it's been brilliant to see Chelsea do what they've done.
Well, that's your specialist position. If you're Frank, do you need? Where do you find the balance? Backup for Tammy Abraham or competition for Tammy Abraham?
Well,
but taking into account what Tony just said and this identity Chelsea currently have.
Listen, only Frank Lampard can answer that question. But from the outside looking in and seeing...
Frank's not here, so I'm putting it on you.
Just from years of watching Chelsea, and yes, I do. I think they need another striker in. I'd like to...
Jeff, I'm not saying you don't bring top players in.
Yeah.
You bring top players in. And hopefully Tammy then rises to that
goes up a gear
again. You don't just go, well, because he's a young player and he's done exceptionally well, we'll leave it at that. You do bring people in. But what you do, you never forget that kid could, hopefully...
Kick on again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very much so.
Enhance the player himself. He'll learn from a better player. You know, there was talk of Cavani coming in. You know, I think we spoke about it on the debate before, and it was...
I think Martins as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, imagine a player of that calibre coming to your club. If I'm a young player, I'm thinking, I want to learn off this person.
Yeah, of course.
But also, I want to compete with him. It's competition.
If you're Tammy Abrahams, you've had a taste of it, you're getting in the England squad, don't your shoulders slump, don't you go down like that?
It just depends on the character. You know about the character of the player then, don't you, straight away?
Jeff, if you're doing that and you're dropping your shoulder and dropping your head, you ain't going to be the player that Chelsea want anyway.
Exactly.
Full stop.
Exactly.
You know, they're a club, they're a football club that has to win things. And the kids have got to be hardened to win things. And that's part of them being hardened is by bringing competition in. But it has to be the right competition. For me, signing players just because they've got some money in the bank, as you said, there's that burning, that pot of money burning a hole in Frank's bank balance or Chelsea bank. Doesn't mean they have to buy. What they've got to do, they've got to buy well. Not just buy.
And I see Frank doing that. I don't see him as a manager that's just going to go and buy for the sake of buying. I think he'll identify a player, a position, and he'll go and get that player.